I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver in silence, then let them in, chalk up their body, another one body, that's just how it go. I got some secrets, I'm shaking the game so they stay on their toes. Stay in your lane, how to stay on the go. I came to play with the pros and act like a rookie, so they overlook me, then I double up again, none of their knows, none of them cold. They just got lucky but never adapted, so I'm to the one if it's coming to blows. My enemies cutting it close.
Welcome everyone to Startup on the Blocks. We're glad to have you here for another event. We're all excited. It's been a pretty busy week. I myself has been participating in the I-10 Wired conference, and I got to do a presentation tomorrow on the startup journey, and I'm looking forward to that. Lots of great networking at that event. So we have that event listed on our calendar of events for the local people to participate in. So it's always an opportunity to network, and I had a chance to kind of meet with some potential sponsors for Startup on the Block. So we're looking forward to their support. But let me share my screen here, and so we can see some of our current sponsors that we already have. And we definitely appreciate their support of Startup on the Blocks. Yeah, so today's event and is we wouldn't be here without our sponsors. So we want to thank them for their support, Florida Power and Light, and we're looking forward to continue relationship with them. For those of you that may not know, they have created a program for here in Florida. They have a program where they have $30 million allocated to support Black businesses in the state of Florida. And they have other programs for other minority business and other type business owners. So we're excited about that and look forward to continue partnering with them. We want to thank the Minority Chamber of Commerce, Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce, Bantucola, a streaming partner, the Pensacola Chamber for giving out free memberships to our pitch competition winners, CoLab for giving out consulting hours to support our founders, the First Bank, they sponsored one of our pitch competition, and they're also a sponsor for the Kukua Institute nonprofit, Small Business Development Center. They've been giving us support as well. And Innisfree Hotel, they have sponsored 3 of our pitch competitions. That is a great deal. So for those of you that weren't here last week, and I'm interested to know, in the ones that were here last week, what did you think about the Startup Science presentation? I just wanted to kind of recap a couple of things, and this was one of the charts they showed, and look at that light blue knowledge, and that's what we try to do here with Startup on the Blocks is provide you knowledge. So they're saying their research shows that this is why startups fail. And you see knowledge is not quite half, but almost half of the reason why startups fail. And so Startup on the Blocks, we're here to, train you on the best practices to get access to knowledge. And so this is the reason why. And so lack of funding, and also saying like people lose focus. So you have to have a strategy to keep going. You have to have co-founders to kind of help you hold each other accountable. And there's also programs in the startup ecosystem that help you with accountability to kind of help keep you on track. So I thought this was a neat chart. I reviewed that video from last week several times because it had a lot of great nuggets in there. And so I'm hoping you all took heed to this. Carlos and Sabina, that you all, what did you all think of this chart here, because knowledge is a real key, and that's why we have the best practice trainings. So if you got any comments, please post them in the chat. Okay, and this was an interesting idea, a good takeaway as well, is having that North Star, kind of knowing where you're going, so you can kind of help you keep on track. So I thought that was a really good, having that vision on, and that's why the startup stuff it's a journey, and so you have to know the steps in the journey so you can stay on track and know where you are within the startup journey. So I thought that was Marty did a really good job on explaining that. So, and this was actually advice from Marty, and he actually said he had like 4 exits. That means he was a part of 4 startups that actually sold to other companies. So that was actually pretty neat too. And here's their concept of the life cycle of a startup. And so that North Star, that vision, going through all these different phases, creating a product, a go-to-market strategy, all the standardization, all the business practices, and optimizing the thing, and just so you can actually grow faster, and have that strategy from the beginning to kind of move forward. Thank you for that comment, Carlos. So he's referring to this having to get that knowledge, So that's a really good deal there. Yeah, and so the other neat thing, which this was pretty exciting, they have this pre-accelerator program that actually provides you with the knowledge. And I was actually surprised, that they, have this ecosystem bullet on here. So that, because a lot of people don't realize this, you kind of have to be aware of that ecosystem to understand how you can actually leverage it. And the talk I'm going to be doing tomorrow is about the best practices, etc. And so let's see what Sabina said. Yeah, yeah. So that is really really interesting. Funding is only 29%, and so yeah, that's a good comment, Sabina. So a lot of times, if you don't have the knowledge where the funding is and how to get the funding, what you need to do to get the funding, that's a challenge as well. So we're excited to be part of the ecosystem, and having Startup Science as a partner to actually provide this type of training to our founders. That's a pretty neat deal. And so so let's see here. So, and this was the magic chart. I hope I actually went on and used this coupon code, and I'm scheduled to start that particular 2-week training on, not the one that's going on now, the next one, so I can get a really good feel for that. And so for those of you out there listening, if you really want to understand about being a startup founder, this is a great opportunity, because that particular course is actually teaching you about how to apply, for these different programs where you can get funding, you can get knowledge. And so I was so happy, with their presentation last week, because it literally actually says in a different way what we've been telling you. You have to know the best practices if you want to see, and you need to be able to take advantage of the leverage ecosystem. And so it was neat that they have a part of their program too. I don't know whether we will get access to it, but they have curated a lot of ecosystem resources. But and so, well, we also have some ecosystem resources that can make that you can actually be aware of as well. So that was pretty fantastic. So I advise um, all the folks to actually listen to that because you are listening to that presentation. You a person that has they they studied the whole process for being a successful founder. So I think it's a really was a really good thing. We definitely appreciated having them on, and so that's what I actually try to illustrate with this chart is you have to have the individual mindset and knowing what the startup journey is, and so you can follow that journey, and then the ecosystem. In order to take advantage of the ecosystem, you have to communicate that you actually know the best practices to and that you really understand. And so uh, when everything builds upon everything else, if you don't have a good business model, design a good business model like we have it in the training with the lean stack training, that business model is your foundation for you being able to take advantage of stuff in the ecosystem. And so that's I can't say in how important that is. So so make sure when you go into the lean stack training that you complete that foundation training and that business model design training and take advantage of that the tools in there, especially the traction roadmap, where you can experiment with your business model, which has 7 variables in there that you can play with to see if your business is viable. And so that's a fantastic tool, and everybody that I show that to, they say it's really unbelievable. Because when you pitch your business model and you can articulate it, and like that tool says, the people you're pitching to are going to say you're not ready yet. It could be a verbal pitch, where you're in a pitch competition, or you could be applying for something, and you're literally pitching your idea, your business model on when you apply for these programs. And so you saw the journey that Startup Science had. So it's just a different view of the journey. This particular view is that so if you got and know how to pitch your business model after you take this business model design course, you should have, and there's also a pitch tool in there as well, so you can get your story together for your pitch. And so go through that. You have to go through it more than one time so you can learn how to do this, because in the launch program that we're in now, and I hope to get everybody access to the program late tomorrow. It's assuming that you already have a well-defined business model, because in this you're actually going to be fine-tuning and building your MVP. And so you don't want to build an MVP for incorrect business model, and that's what the significance thing of that, because we're going to be leveraging all kinds of resources. So I've met with 2 particular funders today to support us in that program, and also getting some other support schedules to help people build their MVP. And so if you really need to have a good foundation, and so you don't waste time building a minimal viable product, and so that's not based on a really solid business model. So that's what this deal is. And so So in essence, your training is you're going to be using the training to and the approach in there to actually validate, your business model. It's called a validation framework, and then you're going to see how to create demand for your product and all the folks that you need to get connected to, and the companies you need to get connected to. We're going to work with you to help to make that happen as well. So, of course, you all know our playbook, so I won't drill on that. And the you know, and, and so this particular chart, it's actually saying the same thing. The startup science say you have to learn the best practices and take advantage of the help and the tools that we're offering here, and then you can have success with some of these programs that are out there. And so, like for the black males in the audience, there I posted in the newsletter that went out today. I posted um, um, two pitch competitions that are actually going on this month, depending on which category of company you're in. And then on our Startup on the Block's Facebook page, I posted another opportunity for 25,000. Um, um, that opportunity out there. But there's so many opportunities, but you have to, and when you apply for them, you literally have to communicate, how you make money, with your product or service. So yeah, that's what the deal is there. So I'm definitely excited. So anybody got any questions about what happened the last week with that? Any more comments on that? Uh, if you have any comments, go ahead and do them. I'm going to get right into the presentation for tonight. Let me get it set up first. Yeah, I had the opportunity to give this presentation to the folks that are going through the CEOH program now, and so got a really good response. So I thought I would, share it with you all. All righty, so creative thinking, so you all got these startups out there, and where does creativity come into the play of with your startup? There's so many things that this is all about and around, and so we're gonna get into it, and so you should learn quite a bit from this, and I'll share some of my approaches with this creative thinking as well. So this is kind of the stuff I'll talk about, creativity in general, mindset, creating value with creativity, and it's basically how you innovate, and then all this how the big companies and the successful startups work, doing idea work versus execution work, and then about some of the tools and stuff that are out there. So these are the key ideas we'll cover. So when I looked up the definition, there were a couple of definitions of creativity. If you all would put in the chat which one that kind of resonates with you, whether it's just idea number one, and we're just talking about production of an artistic work, or number two, where you're doing something new and valuable is form. And so yeah, let's see, Sabrina has a question. She's asking about our newsletter. We for all the folks that's been participating in that program, and Sabrina, you should have received the email today from startups at Kukua Institute.org, and it has a lot of opportunities. I'm sure you've seen that before, but let me know if you haven't. but we'll make sure, and I'll Floyd Jr. is available. Hopefully, he can maybe share the online version of that, or when I get a break, I'll do it as well. Yes, and so which idea do you all resonate with? The number one or two? So just if you would just put it in the chat there. Um, Myself, I actually resonate with number two because you creating something new and value is actually being being formed. So this is I put this in there just to kind of just to challenge you in your thinking. So this particular chart is a uh, when I was working for the Air Force Research Lab, I got introduced to this idea of a creativity machine. And so this creativity machine actually generates ideas, and so, but it's actually software that's actually um, trying to be creative, and so the idea is that it relates to if you've heard of the near death experience, um, and you when you're about to die, your whole life passes before you. You know, it's just these stream of memories, and so that's what they're saying here. This imagination engine. This is all the knowledge that you have accumulated over your lifetime, and it's stored in your brain. And so the one of the takeaways from this chart, you get ideas from your experiences of things that you have learned, and then you have to imagine from those things to actually create new ideas. And so that's one of the takeaways from this chart. And I'll dig a little deeper into this idea, as we move forward in this thing. So in the second part of this creativity machine is a network that actually um, sees all those ideas that are being streamed, and it actually picks the good ideas that it actually likes, and interacts with the imagination engine to actually keep generating more and more memories that are useful. So this actually got patented back in the mid 90s, and I got to work with several programs that actually use this technology and approach to generate ideas. So how many of you have ever used the Oral-B cross-action toothbrush? This is the technology that was used to optimize the design of the Oral-B uh, uh, cross-action toothbrush. So that's just to show you're actually may have used stuff that was actually generated, or design was actually generated by our creativity machine. And so this was was an interesting project that I got a chance to participate on, and it's a strange type thing, but it basically this idea of a warhead design creativity machine. So you model uh, the warhead design and the fragmentation pattern that it actually generates. So this is like, um, how one of these things might be what type of explosive, or how big, how the diameter of the warhead, or the weight of the warhead, and these are design things. And then you when you test these warheads, they produce a fragmentation pattern. So we took some sample experimental data from some actual warheads being blown up, and with the data, then we created a neural network that actually modeled that explosion, and then we used that information to actually create a creativity machine. And so, what this creativity machine on the left, so this is the knowledge about all of those things that you train uh, the model on, this imagination engine part of it, and so it's got all that knowledge. And then so when you activate this imagination engine, it comes up with new designs and shows you what the fragmentation pattern is. Or you can just change one of these input variables, And, let's say you were using TNT or something, you want to try a different explosive, then once you make that change in the model, it would actually generate a fragmentation pattern. And the neat thing about this approach was it also worked backwards. You can say, I want a fragmentation pattern that, where I get more fragments over here, and then it will suggest a design to actually give it. So that's kind of, I want to show you the analogy of software but you're going to use your brain for actually creativity. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of some things. So this particular experiment was a way that we use creativity in my company, Cognitive. So we had this challenge from British Petroleum and Avis Budget company. And so the problem was for Avis Budget was when a car leaves the airport or wherever, and then it comes back once the rental was over. They wanted to be able to determine how much damage was actually on the vehicle when it came back automatically. So the idea is when the car is leaving, you capture a memory of what it looks like, and then when it's coming back, you want to run it through that memory to see what's different about it and highlight the damage. And so, but in order to we had to be creative on how do you come up with an idea to frame this problem and create a solution for it. So the idea my partner came up with, he said, well, we can use some matchbox cars and we can put them on a locomotive, a little train locomotive, and we can have two cameras sitting on each side of the train track. And as the car is coming through, we can actually create the memory of it using our technology. So let's see if I can get it started here. So yeah, this is the whole idea is just coming up with an idea. How can you, as a car pass through, you actually experiment with these little toy cars and then and show that you can do it then. So we developed a solution that actually could highlight damage on the vehicle down to a dime size damage. They only wanted to know if it was bigger than a quarter, but the approach we came up with, it actually did. And so when the cars came back through, it just highlights the damage on the car and generates a report before the person actually gets out of the car. So that's what the idea of this particular thing. So when you're trying to create an idea or a solution for the problem you're trying to solve, you have to just do experiments to kind of figure out and validate those experiments but it's all about being creativity. And it's just having that mindset to know you don't know the answers and that you're going to leverage. So as a startup founder, you always hear me say, you have to have the right mindset. But see, the problem you may have is you may not understand the ecosystem. So you have to become aware of the ecosystem. That's knowledge that you can leverage to be creative. And so that's kind of another way to look at this chart. So for me, I know the ecosystem is out there. So the question is, if I know it's out there and they got these programs, so how can I leverage these programs to help me get the funding to build my software, or get the funding to travel to all these things, or get the knowledge? You have to know it's there in order to use your imagination to actually take advantage of it. Okay, so I'll summarize with some thoughts on my thoughts on this. So I don't know if you're aware that Lego, their value for their company is for that their employees you have to have these be curious. You have to be creative and use your imagination, because the toys are for children, and children have really neat imaginations. And so, um, I but you in a startup, you actually create value through these this information. So when I say domain knowledge, um, you you if you work in a particular area, you have to generate as much domain knowledge as possible, and talk to potential customers to kind of understand, um, you know, how to come up with a solution. So I gave you the example of the creativity machine, but so you might ask yourself the question: what does networking has to do with creativity? And this is truly the value of of being creative. So and so um, I was at the I-10 Wire today, and this is kind of like an example. So I was trying to create, idea. I want to create more programs to support founders. So I was sitting next to this guy, and and I also wanted to train people how to develop software and how to get all these skills. So the gentleman I was talking to, he said, "Well, we have a program already that funds all the training," and then so but he was had a different approach that he was doing than what I was thinking about. So when I listened to his approach, and I can combine his approach and my approach and come up with create a new idea, creativity. But if you don't network and meet people, you don't have you can't get to have advantage of this. And that's why we do the networking in the first hour, is because that's where you get ideas when you actually talk to people. That's where how you can become more creative. And so I can use another example. So let's say you're talking to um, you know 3 or 4 people about what you're doing, and then each person gives you their thoughts, and or they have a different view of the problem, so they're going to generate ideas based on that thought. You are sitting back observing them tell you stuff about what they think, and now your brain can be creative and pick what you like about person number one, what you like about person number two, and person number three, and then maybe you can combine those ideas to create more information. So another example, again, I tell this story quite often, is when I was in high school, and my high school counselor had suggested that I take up a trade during my senior year in high school, and so I followed her advice, and so and then about a month or two into that program, taking up electronics at the Votech school, I ran into my industrial arts teacher, and he asked me what I was up to, and I said, "Well, I'm taking electronics at the Votech school." And he said, "Well, I didn't know you were interested in electronics," and he recommended that I go over to Florida A&M University and talk to the guy in the electronics department. And I did what he said, and that led to me, becoming an engineer and having a successful career. But if you don't communicate with people, you don't get ideas of what you can actually do. And all those years I worked for the government, and there were always problems to be solved. And what I learned is this last point here is just the diverse team. And so, like, if you're trying to solve a problem in your startup, or you're trying to create something new, everybody that's involved in your product or service, you have to talk to them in order to get their perspective about the problem, for you to be creative to come up with a solution to solve it. And that's what the purpose, when you look at this lean startup methodology, that's the purpose for going out talking to the customers, so you can literally find out what the real problem is. You don't want to solve a problem that nobody's willing to pay for. And so that's how you leverage creativity, um, you know, in your startup. And so I often tell you, when you're doing your pitch, you need to kind of do like an origin story. What's the background behind um, what why you're working on this particular product or service? And so, like Savannah, when if people don't know the story of why you're working on it, they're not gonna connect you to the problem. And two, so like this whole idea is, you know, you kind of do all these different things, and based on what your profession, so you is or what your passion is, um, and stuff you're good at, and what your job is here, and that what you get paid for, and that stuff you love. But when you can combine all those things, you actually resonate, and then you can de- develop something which the world needs. So my takeaway from this chart is that you um, as you leverage all that domain knowledge that you have based on your experiences, whether it's with a job or whatever, you're literally um, in a sweet spot. Yeah, yeah. That so Sabrina is curious about that email. Uh, Lord Junior, if you out there, if you can get your copy of the email and actually post it, and I'll do it here in a minute to myself, and just make sure you actually have that email ready. So let's go to the next chart. And so uh, this, yeah, feel free to ask any question while I'm going through the presentation. It's really not. It's yeah. We're here to actually serve you to kind of move you forward to kind of get this. So you're talking about the email, and when so you the ecosystem. So what we're trying to do with startup on the blocks and some of the other things going on. It's a startup community, and but and so you're in this part, but you got this whole entrepreneur ecosystem out there for entrepreneurs. You got this innovation ecosystem. You got the whole economy and society. So the question is, where do what you're working on fits in that? You have to know what the big picture is in order to kind of take advantage of it. And so that's what the idea is there. Um, so so Lloyd Jr. He's actually putting that up here. So um, can you scroll down on that a little bit? So you should have gotten this email today. Can you also post a link to that in the chat so she can actually pull that up for herself? Yeah, yeah, I'll go back to that slide in a second. We'll just wait till the in the ecosystem there are so many opportunities out there, and so in the email this is a list of just a sample listing of some current opportunities that are available to all founders. Keep scrolling, and here's an example for veterans, and the next one is founders of color, and so those are some opportunities that are available. The ones that are in red are ones that are getting ready to expire, and so there's a significant, and these opportunities they have them like Sabina. So like you're in the food industry, technology, so there are a lot of opportunities. So you have to um, be aware that there are organizations out there that are support founders in that industry, and so once you're aware of that, you can leverage those to do, to include some stuff for nonprofits in there, and workforce stuff, um, and so on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so just so that's what the newsletter looked like, and so that's pretty good. So Lord Junior, can you take that URL for that newsletter and look at view it? I think you got it viewed in your web browser, and just paste it in the chat, and then that way Sabrina can actually see that. Right. Okay, so Sabrina, I hope you see that. So you can actually, on that link, you can actually sign up for the email on that link as well. Yes. Alrighty. So thanks a lot, Jenny. I appreciate that. And I'm going to go back to the slides. Sabina wanted to see this slide again. So what's the question, Sabina? Uh, what is the center part? So it's this bottom thing down here, and I'll you know, I think I can post a link to this slides, and so you can look it up tomorrow. So it's the Japanese secret to long life and happiness, and so I don't even know how to pronounce that word, but your mission, you I know you feel good about your product or service and what it can do for people in their health, and so it's kind of, so in order to um, in order to fulfill your thing is you have to get this synergy. All this saying is you have to take the stuff you're good at, the stuff you love, stuff you get paid for, and and combine that and see where that stuff syncs up together. And once you see where it syncs up together, that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck, and that's the way you're going to be able to contribute the most to society. And that's what the purpose of the red arrow is. So when you think about your startup, um, and you think about the mission of your startup, you grew up with these African plants and fruits, and you know the value of them, and so and so and so that's, you're doing something that you're familiar with. So if I like if you started doing something on uh, a startup that's not connection, that doesn't have any connection to your path, how are you going to be good at it? You see what I'm saying? How are you going to create something that's actually useful to the world? You can, but you have a better chance when you do something um, do something um, that kind of conforms to all of these things. Yes. So Sabrina, were you ever click that link and kind of, you can go ahead and sign up, to make sure you're on the email list? But you actually should be on there because already. But I apologize if you didn't already get added to the list. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, good. Alrighty. So like I said, and I'll probably use this particular chart in my talk tomorrow, because if you don't understand how what you're doing fits into the whole ecosystem, the whole economy, and so I can kind of like help you understand this because it's actually really important. So part of what drives the ecosystem is the fact that the United States, Florida, Okaloosa and Walton County, they're trying to improve their economy. So they offer incentives and things to help create jobs to improve the economy. So if you understand and so this startup community is what actually drives this whole thing. So you are the driver. So when you do something that has significant impact, that's what makes the difference in society, and so I just, you, like I said, you in this thing, in order to leverage the ecosystem, you have to understand it. So you keep asking yourself the question: why do they have all these programs? Why do they have programs for women? Why do they have programs, for people who are in the food industry? Why do they have programs for for people of color. Why they have all these programs? And once you understand that, then you can your mind can be more creative about coming, getting the resources that you need. So for example, my attitude when I started working for the government, and I worked for DoD and the Air Force Agency. So, and I was all the stuff that we worked on had never been done before, and so what was the significant that we learned, we knew the method that you use to solve problems or create capability. And so in the entrepreneur ecosystem, these best practices, these are the methods that you follow to get to your solution. You don't, like when I was showing you all this video, we didn't know what the solution was going to be, but we know the method that you go to, the steps to come up with a solution. And so in the entrepreneur world, you have to learn the method that you go through, and once you understand there's a method, you just follow the method. And so yeah, you don't know that you can create your MVP or your what you think your solution is, but there is a entrepreneur method that you use that's going to get you close to the solution, and that's what that stuff is all about. Yeah, so I thought this chart was coming up. So I was telling so what to ask the question, why do all these programs exist? It's all about growing the economy, and this chart, um, this was kind of one of the drivers that sort of explains some of these programs. Traditional small businesses, the Main Street businesses, they account for over 20% of the new job creation. Big corporate America, they're shedding jobs, but they still always do more hiring. They continue to do hiring, but their net new jobs is still a little bit over 20% of the new job creation. These um, high growth businesses that leverage technology, that have a scalable business idea, they're responsible for over 50% of the new jobs. And in society, we that's what drives our economy. And so that's why these programs exist. So if you understand that the county you live in wants you to be successful so you can create new jobs so they can, collect more taxes, and the state wants you to, if you understand that, then you say, well, what programs, you actually say, what programs out there that I can use to do that. So it's that mindset to realize um, this whole ecosystem is out there to help you succeed. And so you have to be creative on how you leverage the ecosystem to actually move forward. And so and so you saw earlier, with Startup on the Blocks, and you saw the briefing last week. There is a method to the madness, and it's proven that the methodology is proven. You don't have to question the methodology. You just need to know there's a methodology, and you can use it. And so this is an example of the phases that you go through with a product or service. And if you notice, a lot of this stuff happens before you ever even launch your business. And with the launch program, what we're helping you do is go from that business, a scalable business model for that particular idea you have, that and take you through this thing. And so you're literally going through this validation framework for that, and learning all the stuff that's there to go through it. So you can, if your mind can be at rest if you know you're following a methodology, and the methodology is the entrepreneur methodology. And so with the economy we're in now, this is a so you remember the ideas about value creation, and so you when you have use these this creative stuff, then that's how you can actually create value. You can go from just an idea to MVP and launch and and have an exit. And so the whole idea is you got to shed that old approach of like the example that's commonly used. So the old approach was uh, value exchange. So like you with the hotel industry, they had a hotel room. When you travel, you go to the hotel room, but um, Air, Airbnb came up with a new business model for that. So they got the idea. The way they got the idea from was when there was a big conference going on in San Francisco. They and all the hotels was filled up. So they said, well, they went out and got some mattresses and invited people to come stay over at their apartment. And then they got the idea, well, what if we create a business around this? And now Airbnb doesn't own any hotels or anything, but they actually are doing better and larger than a lot of the hotel chains. And so that's what's value creation. So you can literally go from a idea that and that's worth zero, and use the entrepreneur method to keep going up, creating values, like going up things. So that's what the entrepreneur method is. And when you're using that lean canvas and validating the stuff on the canvas, you're actually creating value. And so that's what the whole idea is. Um, and so what's different now than the old days is this continuous innovation. So typically, like when you had an idea for something, it took you forever to build it. In some cases, 4, 5, 10 years. So in the government, we would start working on something, and 10 years later, is out in the field, or somebody's they're using it in the field. And then the agile method came along. Was they shortened the cycle to like months and getting incremental value, and just so like with this waterfall, you meet with the customer years later. This you may be meeting with the customer, months, in months intervals, getting feedback. With the lean startup methodology, you're getting feedback from the customer on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, because you're interacting, so you're getting continuous feedback, and that's what accounts for the innovation. So that's the idea of this chart, and the reason for that is the tools now to build stuff. You can literally build an idea, especially if it's software, within a couple of months, or you can actually prototype an idea over a weekend, because the tools are better now. Yeah, and so when one of my other companies, when we were developing a mobile application, it took us a year to kind of get that mobile app pushed out to the marketplace. Now you can literally do that, within a month, if you create a proto, with all the different the way the tools that are out there, they make it easier for you to build your idea. So any questions out there, feel free to ask. So I put this chart in there just to help everybody understand the Amazon, the Google, the Microsoft, and so they automate as many things as they can. So they spend a lot of time, being creative, coming up with new ideas, leveraging technology to come up with new ideas, and so a larger percentage of their employees are doing this idea work, and then they let the robots or the AI do the actual workflows of the tasks. So all that stuff is automated, and but um, in the old days, everybody just did everything manually, and so all the majority of the employees are doing um, um, execution. They're doing hands-on work, actually doing the process. They're doing stuff manually, and so the one of the reasons why Kukua Institute exists is because we understand, and with all the research and studies, like for example, by 2030, one of the studies said that the majority of jobs are going to be part-time jobs. There's not going to be that many full-time jobs because all of this use of AI and automation is actually going to it's going to reduce the amount of full-time workers, and so it's a really neat thing, and for people of color are the ones that are going to be mostly affected by that. So what we're trying to do with our Startup on the Blocks program is help you learn how to be creative and create these new solutions. You actually have the background, and if you use this entrepreneur method, you can actually be a part of this Industry 4.0, the future of work, and drive these things as opposed to being adversely affected by them. So these are some resources, and I will send you all the link to this chart. I think I got but I'll make sure you all get the link so you all actually can leverage some of these resources. And so this particular link here, let's see what it's. I'm not sure.
Mental creative blocks are very real.
Yeah.
You're stumped.
Let's see, is that the one? But yeah, there's a step-by-step process for doing creative thinking, and so that's going to actually be should be useful to you all to and so it's kind of funny that there's one of these articles is folks that were working with some AI and how you train the AI. It took 8 steps, so they actually recreated those eight steps and used those 8 steps, to come up with a manual way to be creative. So that was kind of cute. So hopefully you would enjoy that. But this leantimeio.io, that's you have access to that if you like, and we can you can document all your ideas and stuff. When you get new ideas, you can actually document them, so you can actually keep track of them as well. Yep, and you all are familiar with this particular thing, and and it's just an approach that you can use to in this entrepreneur method. Yeah, so this was the thing I was thinking about, this 8-step startup ideation algorithm, and basically it's an approach that you can actually use to come up with new ideas, be creative, come up with ideas. So definitely take advantage of this when you get access to the charts. That was it for me. You got any questions? And we're right at time, but the idea of this creative thinking that's what drives the innovation in your company. And you have to go out and talk to people, network with people, be aware of all the resources that are out there to kind of help move you forward. It's just a mindset, and you gain all this knowledge, and then your brain can actually be more creative about it. So like when I have one-on-one sessions with you all, you're literally triggering all the stuff I learned all my 65 years, and that's stored in my memories. But you trigger because I like to absorb knowledge, and so because the more knowledge you have, the more you can leverage that knowledge to be creative and create solutions. And also, I would say the networking literally is the way ideas are generated, and if you're not talking to people, um, you you know you can't come up with new ideas. And I can tell you story after story, of talking to people, and being in meetings and having common interests and and coming up with new ideas. And so, and one of the examples I had one time, I was working with this uh, lieutenant, and he was running one of the programs that my branch was in charge of, and and so it was a program that was less than $1 million program, and so we were briefing this other agency, DITRA, and so I suggested that maybe we could potentially collaborate, and if you know I know we potentially had some funding that we could match if they had some funding. So I said, well, we could potentially, um, if you were willing to match it, we could potentially come up with $250,000, and if you come up with the other quarter million, we could actually do start working on what you need. And ultimately, that one little particular conversation led to them spending $5 million on that one project. And so it's just all about collaboration. And so same thing happened today in the conversations I had. It's by talking I was talking to Cox about um, what they can, if they could do something to help your old founders. And we talked, and I learned about what they could potentially do. And and so now we're working on a collaboration where we can actually do something to help support founders. Same thing with other folks. That's the way it works. You talk and you get ideas to solve your problem. But if you try to solve them by yourself, you're not gonna make progress, because everybody comes from a different background, and you have to talk to people from these different backgrounds to actually get ideas to move your company forward. Yes, and so, but yeah, and so the reason for this type um, stuff is just so you're not by yourself. Yep, and so you can work a business and just make a few 100,000 or whatever, or you can or you can actually create a business model that's scalable. There is a methodology for doing it, and you can actually learn that methodology, but you got to participate in the ecosystem. You can't be out there by yourself wondering about it. And so once I found out that about the ecosystem, my whole philosophy in life is leveraging resources that are available to you. Why do it the hard way when you can leverage resources that will help you out? It's just a mental framework on how you actually think about things. But if everybody thinks nothing's out there to help you out, you're never going to find anything. I got an idea today that I never thought of. So one of the funding things we're going after, it requires matching funding in order to do it. And so when I was talking to this gentleman today, and he says he's already got funding. Two people I ran into in the last 2 days, they told me they had funding for stuff that we could literally use as matching funding for the idea that I had, only if we work together. But if you don't talk to people, you don't know these things exist. But the amazing thing now, so I'm changing my mental framework about this, because I'm saying, well, if these two people I ran into have potential matching funding, I wonder how many other people out there think have matching funding that I can partner with to solve my problem. It's literally that simple. It's just how you think about it. But if you don't think it exists, or you don't know it exists, it might as well not be there. And so that's the beauty, and that's how you innovate. That's how you create things. That's how you go from zero value to something that is of value. And that's the purpose of creative thinking and getting people, everybody that's involved in your idea, you talk to them, and the people who distribute your product or service, the people you get your raw materials from, it's everything. You just that's what's the neat thing is just you just have to think, get that mindset right. Alrighty, so we look forward to also, I just want to make sure everybody know that we will announce the teams um, for the launch program. Everybody's going to get to participate, but we'll announce the team structure on Saturday. So be prepared for that. We have office hours every Saturday, so there to talk and chat. So you can get ideas and I can get ideas how to help you, and and that's what you do with talk to your mentors, and that's how it's actually worked. So leverage this creativity and and be successful. See you all next week. Appreciate you all bearing with me as I ramble on. So see you all next week, and have a good entrepreneurial week. Bye bye, everyone.